All right, good morning. It's probably not morning for you. It's probably about like 12 o'clock. Or it's actually probably not 12 o'clock because you don't have notifications on and you're not watching this immediately. But I'm releasing this Sunday at 12 o'clock Eastern. For me, it's Saturday morning. And this became outdated about 10 minutes ago, but I will cover that. And I've also got to stop saying I realized I watched that back. I got to stop saying so I'm going to do my best, but I'm not going to do good at it. But we got 7 different updates on here. It doesn't include everything. There's a lot of flip and spin qualification results that I'll probably go over next week. And there's a couple more moves that happened because of that, but I'm not sure those are going to be like long-term moves or they're just because of flip and spin. But that being said, I'm going to stop rambling. The first thing that we caught wind of this week was Twisted Minds making a move. This one I'm actually very confused about. So around like Monday-ish, it was seen that Mesho had the Twisted Minds tag and was scrimming with Naupo and Moxon. This is a bit of a surprise considering how highly a lot of people rated SMW at the beginning of the season. This team qualified for the second major, the team of Ahmad, Moxon, and SMW, but they picked up Naupo after Ahmad retired. And now they've actually signed Mesho. So this is a bit of a surprise, but it was confirmed that he's replacing SMW for the Saudi League. And it was mainly because SMW couldn't make it. So we're not sure if this is going to be a permanent move or not just yet. But it is just for the Saudi League that's a lay-in happening in a couple days. Maybe actually this weekend, to be honest. I'm not as in the know in depth about the MENA itself Rocket League scene. So apologies for not being completely caught up on that. New logo here, T1. They're looking to join the RLCS. And this is a bit of a surprise. And it could be very exciting. They're hoping to sign a team in November, December. And I've seen a lot of people talking about that First Killer and LJ combo. I think, it'd be crazy for First Killer to go from Gen G to T1 for the League of Legends fans out there. That'd be a wild transfer. But this is a case where T1 is part of the Esports World Cup. They could be getting some of that money to back them picking up teams in other esports. And if they want to, they could throw a big bag at 2-star players and try to get, one of those super teams. And so that's why a lot of people are theorizing that they could be swinging for LJ and First Killer. Will they get them? It's way too early to tell that, to be honest. But it wouldn't surprise me to see them try to make a bid. And that's really all the news about T1. Just that, they're interested. So we'll see how that develops in the next few months. TSM. Wahvey is expected to leave TSM. I'm not really sure if this is his decision or Creams and Hockey. I could see this going 2 different ways. Lawler has said that he believes it's Creams and Hockey's decision. It also wouldn't surprise me if it's Wahvey's decision because he's probably the player on that team with the highest stock and he wants to look for more opportunities. I hope Wahvey gets picked up by a good team. He's really good at 3s and 1s, so from the organization perspective, you could see him both in that 1 circuit and in that 3 circuit, and could be a big name for them there. But on the TSM side, looks like they're going to stay in the scene, and it wouldn't surprise me to see Zanil join Creams and Hockey because they are all together on Northwood Blue. So that would be combining their CRL team and their RLCS team, so they just continue to have that chemistry, whether they're playing in the college league or in the pro league. NRG. I don't know if you can actually see this. It's a little bit of a sad NRG logo, but NRG's logo is just NRG. Aqua has been released. I'm not really sure what NRG's doing. I really don't. They've tweeted out RLCS 2025. So they are looking to stay in the scene. And it's NRG. Like, how can they not stay in the scene? But they still have Garrett signed. The only pieces left on NRG are Garrett and I believe Fireburner is still signed as a coach. What they're going to do next season, I don't know. They've already released Mist. So NRG is just a confusing one at this point. I think 5 years ago, if NRG made a roster move, it would have been posted on the subreddit instantly and everyone would be flipping out. And it was kind of wild to see that 15 minutes had passed and no one had posted the release of Aqua yesterday. So it's definitely staggering how much that org has dropped off in terms of fan expectation. And it's really kind of a remnant of org's past because a lot of people who have started watching the last 2 years haven't seen a time in RLCS where NRG has been successful. And that's actually kind of mind-boggling to me because this should be a good team in North America. This should be a team that's making lands as the 1 seed a lot. So I'm not sure what they're going to do, but they released Aqua, which I thought was one of their best players heading in, or in the split too. So we'll see. We'll see. Karmine Corp. Yes, this is a Karmine Corp logo. I am sorry. Rise has been released from Karmine Corp. This has been updated I wish I could, write in right now because... Can this stop hitting the tripod, please? Thank you. No, it's going to keep hitting the tripod ladder. Nice. Rise has been released, which is the rumor that we started the week with. Earlier in the week, the first domino to fall was that Rise was expected to be released from Karmine Corp. A day later, that happened. But along with that, after Rise got released, it got announced that Vatira and Atow have signed contract extensions to 2026. This is actually massive for the club. I mean, you're continuing to rebuild around Vatira, which you expected to do. Signing Atow through 2026 is a big move. But this also just tells us that they are sticking together next year for sure. Because they wouldn't sign these two to contract extensions if there was any possibility of them not teaming up together for 2025. Could they team up for 2026? I mean, right now they're signed to it. There's no guarantee because a lot happens in a year of Rocket League. But they wouldn't sign anything to extend if they weren't planning on doing it in 2025. I'll cover Team BDS first, and then I'll jump back to Karmine Corp because, well, Team BDS is expecting to fully disband. This team won a World Championship. They've actually won 2 now overall, but they just won Worlds. They also just won EWC. And now they're just expected to rebuild around MonkeyMoon again. According to Dazarin, this team was already discussing roster moves before the World Championship. Actually, I believe all 3 of these teams were discussing moves before the World Championship. From my perspective, I get why it's happening, right? There's a 3-month gap in between the second major and Worlds. And that's a lot of time to talk about one future or one tournament. And you're always wondering what your future is going to be. There were people talking about roster changes before Worlds when Worlds was just a month after the last major. So it doesn't surprise me that this is happening. Personally, I don't really like it. I would much prefer my team be solely focused on winning this tournament. And I almost want to call it a loser's mentality, but I also can't because if this team was talking about roster moves before Worlds and then won it, that's not a loser's mentality. You can't really call it a loser's mentality when they won the whole thing, right? But yeah, Team BDS fully expected to disband. Would not surprise me if this was the plan all along. And then they just said, okay, one last ride, and then won Worlds. In terms of contract situations, Exotic is expected to be a free agent. Looks like they only signed him to a 1-year deal, which expires this year. And so he'll be a free agent. I think they signed Dralii until 2025. Don't quote me on that. I should have looked that up. I did not. But Achilles did confirm that Dralii is going to need to be bought out. And the update that's not on this whiteboard is that Dralii is expected to go to Karmine Corp. So, yeah, this is I was planning on doing a video predicting the French roster mania, and it might be sorted out before I even get to that point. I was going to do that video tomorrow. I say tomorrow. That means the day that this video is getting released, and then I was going to release it on Monday. And yeah, I guess I was going to end up predicting Dralii to Karmine Corp, but that's just because that's what everyone was suggesting. And then Achilles liked a tweet that was like, yeah, he's going to Karmine Corp. And then he officially announced, yep, they're expected to try to get Karmine Corp. He said that it's in the early stages. And, it says here that Dralii's under contract. The deal might take a bit of time, but it's expected to go through for the 2025 season. So we're really looking at Vatira, Atow, Dralii, and I'm pretty sure they're keeping Farah as a coach. We haven't heard anything about that. Last team to make a move? Not really. There have been other smaller teams making moves. But last big team to make a move, Vitality, they're completely rebuilding around Zen. That doesn't mean that Alpha and Redosan, that doesn't mean that those two are guaranteed to not be on the starting roster next year, but their futures are uncertain at this point. This is another club where we can look at their roster situation and see, okay, how is this going to shape up? Redosan becomes a free agent in December of 2024. That's how long his contract was signed for. It was to the end of the 2024 season, but I did see something on their Twitter that said December 2024. So I think to play it safe, they just signed him to the end of the year, knowing that they were going to a calendar-based RLCS. Alpha 54 is signed through 2025. I believe it's through September 2025, but again, don't quote me on that. That does make it complicated. Now, Alpha could be in a very difficult spot. I think Alpha has the lowest stock in terms of really any of the French top 4, any of the players on the French top 4 teams. I think he has the lowest stock, which is a dangerous spot to be in when you have a likely very expensive contract from Vitality. Last year, the big reason why Extra didn't play, he had a team lined up for the 2024 season. He was going to team with Ivan and Extra. No, Extra is one of the players. He was going to team with Ivan and Cash. And then they couldn't get an organization lined up. And Extra was like, I'd like to pay. If I'm not going to get paid, then I want to stay under contract with BDS and ride that out. And sure, if another organization wants to buy me out, then I'll play. But if no one's going to pay me, then I'm just going to collect a paycheck and then come back in 2025. That's exactly what he's doing. We'll see if he's able to regain. I hope he is, just because that would really dispel the whole, once you take a break, your career is done. And I think a Chronic is going to start to do this as well. But Alpha 54 could very much be in that situation. I think if none of the other French top 4 teams want him, he's going to be under contract with Vitality for all of next year, and that's going to be it. I'm also spoiling what I'm going to talk about in this next video, so I need to kind of shut my mouth a bit. But Vitality fully expected to rebuild around Zen. I think the big move that a lot of people are seeing, based on the fact that we know they're friends, we saw the moment after BDS won Worlds, Zen came out, wanted to see Exotic, gave Exotic a hug, it got photographed. If Zen and Exotic aren't on Vitality next year, it's going to be a surprise. It's going to be a massive surprise. So, expect Exotic to go to Vitality. At this point, expect Dralii to go to Karmine Corp. No idea who's going to BDS. We haven't heard anything about Gentlemates yet. This offseason is far from over. But yeah, that's the 7 teams. And the last thing I want to touch on is the Coaches Corner. I have the Coaches Corner up here for all the coaches that are currently looking for a team, that have at least announced that they're looking for a team. I'm not sure if Nick from M80 is looking for a team or if he's still with M80, to be honest. But he might be on here, depending on what happened there. But this week, it was announced that Achieves is looking for coaching opportunities heading into 2025. And Noah, the former coach of Moist, is also looking for opportunities. So funnily enough, these are the 2 coaches that coached that Pirates on a Boat / Moist roster in NA last year. Achieves was their coach for the first split, while Noah was their coach for the second split. I think Achieves is an absolute top tier potential coach. He's got a great analytical mind. He's been casting the game, color casting specifically, for quite a long time. He knows what he's talking about. And one of the main reasons why I was so high on Pirates on a Boat heading into last season, I think I predicted them to get into the top 8 of the first event and was very happy to be right about that. But I think one of the big reasons they found a lot of success is due to the help of Achieves. They do also have solid players. I really like Andy, and I think he's still a bit underrated, to be honest. And then Noah obviously has the accolades of winning a major and then coming over and making a top 4 with that Pirates on a Boat roster. The rest of the split was a little bit worse than what Achieves averaged, but overall, I mean, he still made top 4 by beating Genji. That's at some point, you got to give the coach some credit. And then Jimma is still on there from last week. Haven't heard anything about his situation, but in terms of the Coach's Corner, that's who's available. But yeah, I don't have to reset this whiteboard. I managed to fit everything on here this week. That being said, by 12 p.m. today, and by today I mean the day I'm recording this, so 24 hours before I'm going to release this video, I'm sure it's going to be outdated. So I will see you guys next Sunday with any updates, and keep up with the shorts if you want more immediate updates before I can get to this. Also, all credit to Achieves, who's leaking all this stuff behind the scenes. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is coming from the orgs themselves. Like, Rise being officially released came from the Karmine Corp Twitter itself. NRG news came from NRG themselves. But Achilles has been doing a great job releasing a lot of information about these teams, keeping us up to date on the offseason. I'll have his Twitter. I'm still going to call it Twitter. I'll have his Twitter linked in the description in case you want that immediate source. But I'm going to still hope to be doing this. And yeah, I will catch you all hopefully tomorrow with that French roster mania video.